Sorry, I had to laugh to start off at the thumbnail title. It's fantastic. In Atlanta, we're starting to get spoiled, man, because outside of the occasional blowout that happens with the 76ers or the win every now and then that they sneak in there, you also get exactly what we've asked for, which is some competitiveness, some things to highlight when it comes to some of these individual young players for this basketball team. But in the end, as we have our helmets on,
Big L,
it continues to roll on, and they lose their fourth straight. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Commander Kyle Newbeck to my right. I'm Devon Givens.
Corporal Givens.
Corporal Givens here. And we got Lieutenant Bree on the
you're
other
the
side.
Commander in this instance. You're the point man. You're the host. You get the Commander title.
It's all good. And we appreciate all of you on a Sunday night as you get ready for the start of another work week. For all of you, maybe a school week, hanging out with us here on this Sunday night talking Sixers basketball. Kyle, they lose their fourth straight. They are now 23-48 with 11 games to play. Fifth game of their 6-game trip. Their final one will be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. start, 7:30 pregame against the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans also played today, but they played a little bit earlier. But again, they give us what we wanted. We got a good Justin Edwards performance once again. You saw some other solid things from a few other players on this roster, but in the end, you get exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, so let's start with the guy who we talked about pregame and I think has been the subject of many of our recent conversations. That's Justin Edwards, right? I think yet again, and it wasn't a perfect game, 8-18. Could he have been a little more efficient? Yeah. Could he have made another free throw or two? Of course. Could he have been a little more selective with his passes? Yes. But like by and large, this is what we're talking about as we say we're looking for growth. We're looking to see kind of the whole skill set, not just the stuff that we saw when he's playing off of Maxey, he's playing off of PG, he's playing off of Embiid, even compromised Embiid. What you have to do in that role is just kind of blend in, right? You wait for your opportunities. And Nick Nurse was really happy with him early on and gave him more opportunities because he was willing to just be the quick decision shooter or I'm moving the ball, right? Like I'm giving the ball up to somebody else and I'm not overthinking it. I'm not driving into traffic. I'm not going to do anything other than shoot or move the ball. And that's kind of what we thought he was on this year's team. Well, as the injuries have piled up, as they have become a very different version of this team, he's been asked to expand his game. And what we've seen is maybe what people expected from Justin Edwards at Kentucky, right? Maybe what people expected from him when he was coming out of high school. He's one of the top recruits in the nation, that he does have a relatively diverse offensive skill set, right? Like I think we saw tonight some moments of real craft from him as a driver, like a few plays that jump into my head. He had like a half spin move into a make in the paint tonight. Believe he got fouled on it. And it was an N1. He had a couple drives to the basket where instead of just, he gets there, goes up with a layup, maybe it gets blocked, maybe he makes it, but you don't know. Comes to a stop, hits the quick up fake, draws the foul with the contact, scores. And then he had another time where he didn't make the shot after he got fouled, but he drew another foul by getting there, getting close to the basket, and then just the quick up, get the defender in the air and do stuff like that. And like those are professional moves. Those are veteran NBA player type moves. You don't see a lot of stuff like that from a wing size player, first year in the league, especially a guy who's on or was on a two-way contract that we came in with low expectations for him this season. So you're starting to see a lot more of the other stuff. And I think the best thing you could say about that performance from him, even if it ended up tailing off a little bit in the second half, is that Atlanta never really seemed settled against him, right? Because he is attacking all three areas of the floor, all three levels that you can score at, the three-point line, the mid-range, and then at the rim. he's trying to use all of them right now. So you can't play too far up and you can't play too far back. And that gives him an advantage. That is going to set up these playmaking opportunities. It's going to allow him to get into different types of shots, types of plays. And so I'm really encouraged by what I've seen from him. And I'm hoping that over this final, it's down to 11 games now, right? Over this final 11 games that he just can continue this, play with this positive momentum, build off of this, build that confidence, because I think he has been pretty open with us that one of the keys for him was just, I had to rediscover myself. I had to kind of remind myself who I am or who I was. Like I went to Kentucky and I just struggled, and these guys will tell you the mental part of the game is super important. So it seems like he has rediscovered who Justin Edwards is. And if he can just end this season on a high note, that allows you to, you go into the off season with whatever you're going to add to your game, work on your game. And then you get into training camp and you can hit the ground running next season. That kind of stuff is super important.
So one of the things with the growth that you're talking about that I've really liked when it comes to putting the ball on the floor and not just being this standstill shooter and just being that guy that's going to spot up in the corner or catch the ball on the wing and hit those shots, which he has shown that he can do, is when he puts the ball on the floor. And I like the combos, the counters that he has when he puts the ball on the floor. It's not just a straight line drive every time. It is a straight line drive sometimes where he goes up, elevates, where he's athletic enough. I didn't even think he was athletic when we first saw him. In high school, he was. In college, you saw that he still had some athleticism. But when we saw him in the practices in the summer league, he didn't look overly athletic. And he still doesn't, but he's showing some pop of it, some semblance of it now. But it's the fact that he's not just straight line driving. There are some combos to it when he puts the ball, a little crab dribble when he gets low, gets guys off balance and has them spinning.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you play basketball, you always hear, man, I hate playing against left-handed dudes because they have the advantage because they are lefties and they can decide to go in a lot of different ways. Well, he'll either finish at the rim. He's got that fantastic mid-range pull-up from about 10 to 12 feet out.
Really confident in it.
Yeah, and every time he does that, I think it's going to go in. Whether it's a floater, a runner, a pull-up, or even if he steps back about 15 on a step back or 17 on a step back, when he gets to that intermediate area, I think it's going in because he has that sweet of a jump shot when he lines it up. So I'm encouraged by those things that I'm seeing from him when it comes to the ball handling part of it. Next year, it will be a little different where he's going to have to be really, really tight about it because he's not going to play 35 minutes. He's going to be out there for maybe some nights he might get 25. Other nights it might be 15 to 10, depending on how it's going. And he has to continue to play within himself. And even now, with the extended run, the extended responsibility that he has, he's still playing, as you just pointed out, within himself. He knows who he is. He's starting to really understand who he is, what his profile is in this NBA game, now that he has all of these games under his belt, all of these minutes that are under his belt that he's logging, and he's really looking comfortable out there. So when he does those things, you're like, that's an NBA move right there by an NBA player. When he ball fakes and then makes a pass, that's an NBA move. That's a thinking man NBA player right there for what he's doing, trying to make the right play and not trying to be one of those other players that we've seen so many times. Not to pick on Ricky, but we know that sometimes Ricky will come in and Ricky's like, I'm going for it. We need this. I'm going to do it. It's not to say that Edwards lacks the confidence in doing so. He's just playing within himself. He's really, really fundamental with his game. He has a lot to it. And all you can ask from him now is to just get better. He goes into the offseason. He puts on some weight. He's still got that really, really young body right now. Put some more muscle. Not to say that he's not strong, but you can see it where he's still like that straight up and down guy without any muscle or without, he doesn't look and appear to be one of those, strong dudes, but looks can be deceiving. But when he does start to really fill out his body, get some of that baby fat off of him, and just start to put on a true NBA body to that 6'6" frame, he's going to be a big problem offensively for them. Of course, we'll talk about his defense as we go along, but the offensive side, you get on the floor from the defense. Things have changed, though, with this group for him to get all these minutes. he's now having to be that two-way player that you saw in preseason, in the summer league, and some of the stuff that you wanted to see from him when he did get those sparing minutes when Maxey and George were on the floor. Same with Embiid. Play your part, knock down some shots, and play just some solid defense on the other side. Now he's learning how to balance. I have to be a scorer sometimes too, but also I have a big assignment on the other end. So understanding the balance of being a two-way player where he's not fully formed yet in that, and on one end of the floor, let alone on both ends of the floor, to be this complete player. But the growth, the maturity that he is showing so far through the amount of games that he has played, ending up with 22 points tonight for the second consecutive game that we scored 20 plus. That is really good for what we're seeing from an undrafted guy for the second consecutive season.
So let me ask you a question, Devon, because you brought up, I think the defense is an important thing to consider for this question.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's undoubtedly, that's a rotation player for next year. I think he has shown us enough. I think that the pedigree is there. I think the fit is there, that's an easy decision. For me, the next step after that is asking, can this guy start for this team next year? And will it make sense for him to start next year? And I say that even if Kelly Oubre comes back next year, because right now we're looking at, it's more than likely it'll be Maxey, it'll be Grimes, if Joel's healthy, Embiid, George, and the fifth spot is the only one that's kind of up in the air. Although you could argue Grimes came here and was more like he'll be the sixth man, and so maybe that's how they end up subbing it. But I think when I look at who coaches like to have as a fifth starter, in many cases it is a player more like Justin, who's when they have the stars out there, he's okay deferring. He's okay being I'm the catch and shoot. I'm the spot up guy. I can be the dirty work player. I don't have to dominate touches. I don't have to go out and score 22 points. I'm going to play good offense. I'm going to defend the other team's top guy or one of their top guys, and I will buy into my role, and that'll get me on the floor as much as I can be out there. I don't think that he's necessarily as good. If you just lined him and Kelly Oubre up right now, Kelly is better. Like, Kelly has more things that he can do. He's a better on-ball creator. He's currently, I think, a pretty sizably better defender. And so for me, that's the big question. If he's here, do you want his ability to be that on-ball stopper and like more reliable on-ball stopper versus let Justin get these reps? Because Nick has trusted him with a lot of those reps. He's had a little bit of success, but by and large, especially lately, there's just nothing he can do, and he hasn't done the greatest job in the world as that top assignment defender. But I do think if you think he can get there, if you have belief that maybe that's the sort of outcome you can get from him, I don't think it'd be crazy if he ended up being one of their 5 starters next year.
No, that's a fun question, though. That's a really fun question. Didn't expect at the end of the season that we would even be posing that type of question with Justin Edwards, looking at the other, let's say, 3 starters, of course, for sure, with Maxey, George, and Embiid, and we'll see how the rest of it ultimately flows out. But that's a really good question that I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. Heck, we were talking about, and look, these were veterans, Eric Gordon and Gershon Yabusele starting at the beginning of the year over someone like maybe Kelly Oubre or even Caleb Martin when he was here. And now to look at where Justin Edwards has come as a player, how he's gotten better as a player to even pose that type of question on a team that next year will once again expect to be number one, a playoff team. And based on things that they do in the offseason, maybe once again showing as the season goes along where there will be a contending team in the East once again. For him, that would be pretty big. And you're looking at a player then, well, you're probably talking, this is like a Jermaine Jones type of exercise here on a championship team, or Mark Ivoroni on a championship team, where you're looking at that player that's just going to simply go out there and do what's asked of him. He's going to go out there and do everything from the dirty work, get about 15 minutes overall for the game, play the first 3-4 minutes, set things up, and then he's out. He'll come back in at some point in the second quarter, start the third, then he's out again. And so he's not going to get a lot unless he's playing really well. But I'm not opposed to that. I'm not upset that you get that type of question, number one, from an undrafted guy. You get that type of question for him for the 25-26 campaign. And for any young player that hasn't logged a lot of minutes before this season to even throw something out there like that. I like that idea. I'll be very curious to see. Certainly we have to see what happens with the draft pick, if that draft pick is going to be a starter, if they do keep that top 6 protected pick, and see where it all falls. But that's a really fun question.
Right, because like if you get Ace Bailey, for example, I think it's a little bit tougher to be like, hey, Justin's going to find his way into the starting lineup. But there are a lot of different versions of this offseason. Or even like, let's say Kelly opts out and says, I can get a bigger or a longer deal elsewhere and I'm out of here. Well, then you have a real dearth on the wing of guys who can play there. So Justin then ascends in that instance too. But, we've had this conversation with Kelly many times. And now some of it is, I think he probably cares about being a starter more than some other guys. And I don't say that as criticism. I just think that's something that Kelly believes that he has earned a starting role. And frankly, I think he certainly deserves it based on his production and also just the consistent effort that he's given during the time that he's been here. But we've said many times, if you're going to ask one of these guys to come off the bench, he at least has the skill set and the on-ball ability that if you bring him in as like a 6-7 man, Kelly can go out there and he'll create for himself. He'll attack mismatches. And against, bench wings, he has an even easier time of doing that than against starting lineup guys. So if you go with more of the reliable shooter in an Edwards and then say, hey, Kelly, you have more responsibility with that backup group. And that backup group next year, hopefully, is going to be a lot more dangerous than this year, right? Yeah. You're going to bring back McCain. I think McCain will be like true 6th man unless they're trying to start him with Maxey. And, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But you'll have McCain. Presumably, you hope that Bona takes a step forward. So there's Oubre with those guys.
Grimes, maybe.
Grimes
maybe.
But it's also the swing minutes, right? So it'll be Grimes. It'll be Maxey. Like there should be.
That's a nice 4 coming off the bench.
And then like if you keep this draft pick and you have a rookie with some talent, like whatever position that is, that ends up being a pretty interesting group. So the good thing with Justin too, though, because we've seen him play quite all right with I don't want to say fully healthy, but at least like more healthy version of the team. And now he's doing all this. Well, he could, same thing we're saying about Kelly, ask him, hey, stretch your wings a little bit, do a little self-creation, play off of Joel Embiid, play off of Paul George against reserve units. There's a lot of ways you could go with it. I'm just very happy with what we've seen from him growth-wise and production-wise.
Now, he has to do it next year in training camp, show it again in preseason, and start the year off that same way. But Kyle, for him to be doing it now while they're sitting on the bench watching it,
you take advantage of your opportunity.
They have to. It has to be good for him that his teammates see that he can do it, where they will trust him to make that pass, for him to knock down that shot, etc. Let him bring the ball.
And he's putting pressure on some of these guys too. Like Kelly knows, hey, look, the cycle of the NBA, he was a guy, Kelly, that was making $10 million, $15 million a year, scoring 20 points a game, was close to one of the main guys on a team, and then ends up on a minimum contract. Like, he understands the ebbs and flows of the league. And so these guys that are on the sideline that are hurt or being managed or whatever, they see a Justin Edwards and they're happy for him. To your point, they're going to build trust and know I can give that guy the ball and he'll make smart decisions. But it also, as we talked about when we thought they'd be a normal team this year, when you have a lot of guys playing well and who can compete for minutes, that brings the best out of everyone because they have to bring their best every day, or the coach can look at them and say, hey, buddy, sorry, I got a better option down the bench.
Yeah, interesting. Music Lover 31 says, I don't see the room for McCain to start next year. He doesn't have the defensive length I like, and we have another guard. We have other guard options offensively. Come off the bench. Be a flamethrower for the Sixers. Well, we'll see. Number one, again, it all starts when the draft the draft lottery first on May 12th rolls around to find out if the Sixers will be lucky enough to keep that top 6 pick. And then if they do, then the draft, how it all plays out. That will then start to really, Music Lover 31, shape things for us with how we look to put us, at least on the outside, armchair GMs, put the team together, put the starting lineup together for Nick Nurse or whatever coach is going to be coaching next year for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm not saying he isn't going to be here, just saying. All right, look, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. We'll go through our rundown. We'll give our Ace Hardware temperature check. We'll do the tank watch because there was a game or two today to keep an eye on. And we have our tankathon spin a little bit later since Derek's not here. I have to do it because Kyle only does it once on lottery day, May 12th. So we have to wait for that. And also we will jump into the player of the game for tonight as well. But Sixers lose 132-119. They have lost their fourth game in a row. Pretty good. Pretty good. Sorry for them, but pretty good for us and our agenda. We come back, we keep it going, talking hoops, Sixers right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
We're talking hoops, but we're also talking our good friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union.
Get the money.
Get the money.
Save
Indeed,
the money.
everybody. It's almost spring, and I feel like it's been spring, and then we got this kind of cold weekend, and it was like, I was told by somebody once, never plant flowers the first time it gets warm in the spring. What you do want to do is spring into savings with TrueMark. If you have financial goals, doesn't matter if it's buying a house, taking a dream vacation, building an emergency fund, trying to replace the Pop-A-Shot machine at the PHLY offices because half the machine is broken from overuse. Your goals are different from my goals, are different from Devon's goals. But no matter what, TrueMark Financial Credit Union has the perfect savings account for you. TrueMark Financial offers high-rate certificates and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you. So visit TrueMark.com for rates and to learn more. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Rates are subject to change.
And I know a lot of you during tournament time, you have your spots that you like to go to. You like to stay at home. You like to go out to an establishment with your friends and family. Or maybe you want to come out and hang with us here at the PHLY offices and watch the game on the multiple TVs we have. But I got to tell you about a great spot with Parks Casino, where I've been for many, many years doing shows there and watching games there, having some great food there as well. And Parks Casino is the spot for you. Look, I've, again, done the games, had the food. I've gone to other shows. I went to see a Deion Cole comedy special there, and it was tremendous. It was a fantastic experience. I wasn't working. I said, you know what? I just want to go see a show, and I made sure I was there to see that great, in the great room, the auditorium that they have there, big spot, great seating, great visuals to be able to catch Deion Cole do his work up there on the stage and have me belly laughing because of all the funny jokes that he does. The Excite Center is where it is at Parks Casino. One of the many things that I do love about my casino of choice. This is how you win. It's how they make sure that they spell it out for you. Pennsylvania's #1 casino is so close to anywhere. Street Road, right off the exit 95 and the PA Turnpike. The Excite Center is the state-of-the-art entertainment venue inside Parks Casino, right in Bucks County in the Philly suburbs. Named one of the best places for concerts and comedy, my Deion Cole show, and a great place to see the country's best comedians and headliners overall. While you're there, you get the great food. Again, you get the beer garden where you can sit out there and look out the great weather. It's all perfect, laid out for you. Parks Casino, this is how you win. So as you do that, you can walk over to the slots and win some money there. You can play some craps on the table there. Parks Casino, you need to be there. I've been there. I'm trying to get Kyle and Derek and Bree and Rich, all of us to go there as well. And we will, because again, it's for an easy ride from everywhere. So all you have to do, Street Road exit off of 95 and the PA Turnpike, Parks Casino. This is how you win. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. You must be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Our girl Val says she hates, in all caps, she hates our helmets, the tank helmets. And all I'll say, Val, is this. When you come in next time, now you got to wear the helmet. You got to wear the tank helmet. You know, you got to wear the tank helmet.
You know what I hate, Devon?
What's
We were
that?
talking about this before we started the show. Derik Queen wearing long sleeves playing basketball.
See, I told y'all. Even Kyle can't stand it.
Shameful. Shameful. It automatically bumps you down a prospect tier. So if he was theoretically in the third tier of prospects, and I think that's probably a reasonable place to put him. I think floor is like fourth tier, but
fair.
He's getting bumped a tier regardless.
So I saw Jonathan Wasserman's last mock draft at NBA.com. He had him fifth. He had him fifth. Sixers were 6, by the way, and he gave them Trae Johnson. Just saying.
We'll talk a little
bit about that another time
in the future. But yes, I mean, look, I like Queen from what I've seen from him. I think the offensive skill set has the potential to be pretty special for a guy his size. I don't know what he does defensively at the next level, and he's a little not stuck between positions, but he's not a rim protector, but he's not a switch defender. He moves pretty well, but not well enough that he's going to I think you feel it more on offense, and the commitment's not always there defensively. I don't know. It's weird because I also, when I've watched them this weekend, for example, I've been like, they really should be getting this guy the ball more. Like, this dude's the most talented player on their team by far. And it's like he goes through these stretches where their guards are like, I'll go elsewhere.
Because the tournament is always, it's a guard game in the tournament, man. Yeah. Even when you have a dominant big man as he is, he does it inside, he does it outside as far as the scoring. And yes, he absolutely needs the basketball more.
Yeah.
Guards generally take over in the tournament.
Tie game with 3 minutes left, by the way.
Okay, we'll update you.
Colorado State.
We'll update you on that one, and the update you on the Tank Watch and the Prospect Watch a little bit later. Brandon, by the way, says, I love the helmets. We need that pick.
Attaboy.
We need that pick.
Thank you, Brandon.
By the way, Val says she's in first place in the PHLY diehard NCAA.
I forgot to join. I don't remember who sent it out, but I forgot to join it. That was my mistake.
Yeah, so my bad. But I think I've done pretty well so far on my selections. Knock on wood, but my Final Four teams are alive as of right now, so that's really what matters, I think. Yeah, absolutely. All right, keeping it going on the Sixers basketball side of things. Let's get the Ace Hardware temperature check in here to talk about one of these guys that's been playing pretty well. And since we went with the fact that the guy is that's going to be our player game, we'll stay away from him first. By the way, let me tell you about the Ace temperature check that is heating up or cooling off. With our Ace Hardware temperature check, visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. Kyle, I thought even with the numbers not necessarily standing out in this one, can we show some love to Chuma Okeke?
Of course we can.
Because again,
Chuma Hive is here and in full effect.
I know. That's why I wanted to go to it with the numbers that he was able to put up tonight. Not gaudy numbers, but we've seen him again just with his play on a 10-day contract that he signed last Sunday, I think, against Dallas. Against Dallas. He signed a 10-day contract, and he's comported himself pretty well. He's
100% agree.
Yeah, he's done pretty well. And tonight, in another starting role, he had 8 points on 8 shots. 8 rebounds, 4 again on the offensive glass. So while the numbers are not gaudy, they don't stand out all that much. Chuma Okeke has been a decent late season find that, as we've said, maybe you give him a little bit of a training camp invite to see if he can sneak on the roster.
Because, look, we can be realistic about who he is, right? He's still just a rotation guy on a team that's super banged up. And this is not someone that in the free agent market is all of a sudden going to command all kinds of interest. But he has shown what we were sort of hoping for when we talked about him as an end of bench guy before this season even began, right? Pretty good athlete, competitor, has hit the glass. He's knocking down a couple threes every game now, which that's the biggest thing. If he hits threes, the whole world opens up for him. Because what we do see, what is a constant, is he plays hard, he's got the motor, and he's leveraging his strength and his length. Like to get, I think it was 4 offensive rebounds tonight, 4. Right? And he's had a bunch of these games recently where he's just all over the offensive glass. And so that's something that he's doing consistently. If you add on the occasional spot up three. He had a nice drive tonight too, where the seas parted a little bit. He gets to the rim, and I wish it was a little bit more of a straightforward dunk. It lost a little bit of the oomph at the last minute, but yeah, I like how he's been playing. I like how he's fit into this group, and would like to see him on a real team at some point, because it seems like he's slowly but surely starting to figure some things out.
So just to your point of the rebounds, first game against Dallas in that win, he played 16 minutes and he did get 4 rebounds. He had 3 in the overtime loss to Houston. He played 17 minutes in that one, just 2 points. But he had 14 and 15. He had a double-double in the first half against OKC in that game, where there weren't a lot of bright spots because of the fact that we were looking at OKC and their reserves beating the crap out of the Sixers reserves. But he was a standout performer in that game and won in the first half. He played 37 minutes against OKC, 14 and 15, 7 and 3 with 3 assists in the San Antonio game on Friday, and again today, 8 and 2 in 35 minutes of work against this Atlanta Hawks front line that, by the way, has length with Zachary Richachet, Okongwu has some length there as well. Gay has some length there on the wing, but he's like 6'9", 6'10" with a big time wingspan. So there were a lot of guys.
Plus,
there.
you have like Dyson Daniels he's got good size for a guard, and they have a bunch of guys.
Yeah, so
that can mix it up.
He's battling with all these guys when he gets in there, especially when we talk about the fact that while Yabusele has been much better as of late on the glass, these last couple of games in particular, there's still not a lot of tall guys for the Sixers playing basketball right now.
They're at a disadvantage on the glass
right.
in almost every game, if not
so
every
his
game.
role is get in there and crash the glass, and he's doing so. He's doing so. So he's making the most of his 10-day contract, signing that again on the 16th. And let's see if he can get a second 10-day contract or round out the rest of the season by sticking with this team, because he's been playing pretty well.
Speaking of, I believe this was the last day for Brissett on his 10-day, or it's very close.
Yeah, because he was here before. Yeah.
He was there, I think the Thursday before was that game, but I am not 100% on the exact timing on that.
That was March 14th. So, yes, that sounds about right.
So, we're going to have to wait and see what they do there. They
he missed
obviously
the
still
rest
have
of the
tons
game.
of guys injured, so they can.
He missed the rest of the game because of an injury.
Was it a knee?
A knee, something. Yeah,
something with his knee. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. But I mean, I think Chuma has shown more that matters, kind of long term, right? Like I mean, Brissett has played fairly well in a small role, but all these guys are just being overextended a ton right now.
So again, we're just looking long term of giving him an invite for training camp, maybe, and see how that works out. That was our Ace Hardware heating up, cooling off segment with Ace Hardware, the temperature check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your very next project. All right. Back to the player of the game, since we already discussed him, so we can bring this into the conversation. Just Justin Edwards, another really good night. 22, 3 for 6 from beyond, 3 assists, 2 blocks in the minutes that he played. Just fantastic work overall. As we started off, Kyle laid out everything with what he did in 39 minutes, which again led the team in minutes played and led everyone in the game in minutes played, and stayed out of foul trouble.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody has to.
Maxey isn't there anymore. Justin, you're up, buddy.
3 assists, 3 boards, 2 block shots in 39 minutes and 14 seconds of work for the rookie from Philadelphia. Just doing his part to help out this basketball team that is 23 and 48 now.
It's nice when they bring in a local kid to play for the team and they play well. Wonder if that could happen another time.
Could have happened multiple times, but they decided to just move on from all of them when you could have had at least 2 in that one draft, since we brought it up in the pregame show from 2018. All right, we're going to take one more break. We come right back. We'll dive into the rest of the conversation with the guys. The game is almost over for Maryland. Kyle will update us on that, so we might as well get into the prospect watch. We'll get into the tank watch, and we'll certainly do our tankathon spin of our daily tankathon spin of the day. Sixers fall 132-119. That's now 4 games in a row. one more game on this 6-game road trip. That will be Monday in New Orleans. Can they steal a win against the Pelicans? We'll talk about it all as we preview that a little bit later.
68 all with 45 seconds left, by the way.
I smell OT in this one. All right, we'll come back and do all that right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365. O'Shea Brissett, he had to leave. He had to leave early. So if he wants to get that another, contract, maybe a second 10-day for O'Shea Brissett, get back into the mix with the Sixers, I'm always referring these guys to Rothman Orthopedics. And why do I continue to do so? Because they're the best. They're the best. They fix me. They fix other people. They fix all of you if you have ever been there. And now I got to get O'Shea Brissett to get a peek over at Rothman Orthopedics. But I'm not mad at it. Maybe he has some other joints that are aching, hands cramping, backs out of whack, and the other little knee thing that he's dealing with right now. Rothman's got you. And at Rothman Orthopedics, they practicing in specialized care, and have been doing so as a passion for over 50 years. Their mission is high quality, compassionate, and affordable care that's rooted in research that leads to new treatments and better outcomes overall for you. So, since 1970, their physicians have remained committed to research, innovation, and minimally invasive procedures to get you back to what you specialize in. I wanted them to get me back on the basketball floor so I can mess around on the floor and tell Mikhail I need to steal his mid-range pull-up, teach me how to do that. We're going to do that in the summer, get that done. But I can only do that because Rothman took care of me and made sure that I was able to get back out there on the floor. So if you are an active player in whatever sport that's your favorite, from tennis to golf to just simply running along Kelly Drive just to get a nice little jog in during these spring weather days and nights, Rothman Orthopedics, they specialize in you and they will get you right. So listen, go see my people. Go see my folks. Tell them I sent you. Rothman Orthopedics, specialize in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
And you guys already know, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our good friends at Bet365. Bet365, listen to all these insane and wonderful stats. 90 million users worldwide. 780,000 events are live streamed each year. They offer early payout offers across the NBA and NHL. They pioneered live in-game betting, and today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Devon, were you a winner on your Bet365 pregame parlay tonight?
Yes, we were.
Look at that. Gambling Givens is coming through.
2 in a row.
That's because Bet365 is offering you tons of great bets, and they're offering you good odds at that. There are a lot of good features they have through the NBA, like NBA Tip-Off Tuesdays. It's not Tuesday today. It'll be Tuesday soon.
But let them know.
Place qualifying parlay bets totaling $20 or more on Tuesday night's NBA games, and you can get up to $25 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Guys, here's an offer for you. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in a PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Absolutely. And welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. So Kyle's referring to us winning again tonight. What do we have? We had George Niang over 2.5 threes. He had 2 in the first quarter. Done and
he was
done.
Cooking.
Done and done. So he did that. And then on the other side, we had Quentin Grimes to get 4.5 assists tonight. Quentin Grimes ended up with six assists tonight. So we hit that as a plus 200 parlay at Bet365. Make sure that you follow as we do these for every game. Bree will have the next one covered on Monday night because I'm off. So Bet and Bree, we'll be right back at it.
Bet and Bree, baby.
Getting it done. And as always, make sure you follow us all on our team account, our show account at PHLY_Sixers to get alerts of everything that's going on with our show. And of course, the in-game stuff when the Sixers are, in fact, playing. All right. So the game is, it was in a timeout, I know. So
70-68, Maryland, 2-point lead, 11 seconds left, Colorado State ball. So.
All right. So while we do that, Bree, just for the baseball purposes, because baseball starts this week, so we want to pump Tyler's podcast up that has been back and running. The PHLY Phillies account has been running the show. Tyler Zulli. Baseball is here, man. It's here. Thursday, the Phillies are right back at it, taking on the Nationals in Washington. But when they're ready to come home, you got to make sure you go out there and join PHLY Phillies to hang out for a nice tailgate experience with the Phillies, the official PHLY tailgate, the best in the city. That's on Monday, March 31st.
Hopefully
11
some warmer
a.m.
weather coming.
Yes, 700 Patterson Ave. That's going to be at Cavs. So we hope that you're taking a day off anyway. It's opening day. It's, for the home game at least. Opening day, home game. So you want to make sure you be there. Cavs, that's 8 days away on Monday, March 31st. Tyler Zulli with the PHLY Philly Show. Go give it a listen. He has all this stuff covered from the prospects and diving into all these deep analytical numbers and all. So go check out Tyler's podcast.
He'll tell you what exit velocity means.
I'd be like, man, I mean, y'all might want to know that, but I'd be like, whatever, man. He just throws fast, right? The ball drops.
Oh,
cool.
Colorado State just took the lead on a three.
Oh,
6
man.
seconds left.
Sorry
to interrupt the promo. All
PHLY
right.
Phillies.
Another timeout for Maryland.
How much time left?
3.6 seconds left. They're down 1.
Val's letting us know too. Colorado hit a 3. All right, Kyle's got that covered. Let's get to the prospect watch since that's happening in the moment. Kyle will update us on the Maryland game and the prospect watch as it goes along. But here we go. Let's start with Jace Richardson, who plays a little bit later, or are they playing right now? Let me just double check because that's one of Kyle's guys. 16-11 right now. New Mexico has a lead over Michigan State. 16-11 right now. That's with 11:54 to play in the first. So we bring up Jace Richardson because Kyle has talked about him. If it sounds familiar, yes, former Sixer and former slam dunk champion. The Final Four contestant with Michigan State. And I actually think they might have won. No, he wasn't on that team.
No, I think they won the title. It was the last time Izzo won a national title.
Okay,
was with
Jason Richardson's son, Jace Richardson. And he, so far, he's only taken one shot, but he's darn good. Yeah. He's darn good. He is in these mock drafts, in the lottery. It's a player that Kyle has talked about. He's a lefty, unlike his dad being a righty. He doesn't have his dad's hops, but he's a very crafty
good athlete,
scorer.
Not a great athlete.
Yeah, his younger son actually has the hops. The younger son has the hops, but a player that you like, though.
Yeah, so he has, because of his size, he came into the year, and I think people thought he might be like a fringe type of prospect.
Yep.
But now he is pretty firmly a lottery guy. I mean, he was coming off the bench for Michigan State for most of this year, and he was so good and so impactful that Izzo said, we got to get this kid on the floor. He's got to play, and he's got to play as often as we can get him out there. So for me, he's the guy that I like the most, that I'm also not interested in the Sixers drafting because I don't think he fits with the Maxey and McCain pairing, let alone with once you add Grimes in there and whatever else could happen. But if you're just looking for a kid that's got high-level feel, he's been a good shooter. For his size, he's a good finisher around the basket.
Yep.
I always like the kids who have some sort of professional pedigree. So like if it's their dad played in the league in his case, or you're talking about, I don't know, let's say an uncle or somebody, they know the life, they know the ups and downs, the grind. Like he has that firsthand experience from his dad. And I think that's something that I really appreciate.
All right. So we got to do a little play-by-play here.
Derik Queen for the win. Bang! Off the glass.
Did
Game
he really?
winner. Game winner.
Wow.
For long sleeves himself. Sam Bradford is somewhere smiling down on Derik Queen.
Oh, this is March, man. This is March. What kind of shot was it?
That was a hell of a shot, man. He got the ball on the move and went off glass on a runner from the left side.
Wow.
For a guy his size, that's a crazy shot.
And for a freshman to do that, big man, freshman, game winner to close it out with the sleeves, sending Colorado State home.
Yeah, let's see if they'll show the replay.
Oh, fantastic stuff, man. This kid. And look, selfishly again, he's already going to be a lottery pick, but just simply wanting to see more of these great
top
players.
Of the key, drives to his left, going out of bounds off 1 foot, off glass, bang.
That's 1 foot away from his strong hand. Bree has it for us here. This is like throwing a football across your body. You don't take this shot. He did that as a winner, a game winner. Big man from the top of the key.
That is an impressive shot, man.
Great call, great execution by Willard. So Villanova fans, you got to wait a little bit longer because the bag continues to get a little bigger there for him, Kevin Willard getting that extension and staying in Maryland. So you got to wait a little bit longer, like a whole week, because they won't play until Thursday or Friday for their first game. Wow, big man, top of the key, going to the offhand, fading across his body off the glass. Great stuff. Great stuff. Great pull, Bree.
Yeah, for him. So what that clip shows, though, in a do-or-die situation, he still, as a big man, is comfortable enough going to his left, right? And having to recenter himself and put it up there with his shooting hand. Yep. But the fact that he feels good enough dribbling with his left hand and attacking from a face-up, that opens up a lot of different options for you at the next level. So offensively, I can see the vision for him. Like, he's a really, really talented player. It's the other side of the ball where I'm like, where does he fall in today's NBA where speed and space are more important than ever? And you still want to see him. He has not shot the ball well from three yet. Admittedly, I don't think he's shot it a ton from there. And I think the touch tells you, like, he'll be able to expand it, but it might take some time.
Yeah, no, that's really impressive. Neil Devers says, I always want to go left if I'm a righty. No, I'll give you my scouting report too. I prefer to go left. It's just off of 1 foot fading away from the other side versus the other side of the floor where you go right, you could still at least fade because you're going with your strong hand, still with your guide to at least sometimes shield off the defender with your left. You can maybe get a foul. You're going left, and I agree with you, Neil. I prefer to do it, but you're going left where it's just hand and ball, and what happens? You can get it blocked, all that stuff, but with enough height, slow a defender, maybe you have to get him by, square in the shoulders, as Kyle just said. Man, that's impressive.
That's
really
tough.
impressive. I don't even, and when we talk about comps, I don't know because
there's some people that have said like Zebo offensively, and
but Zebo was a 4, like just a flat out 4.
He's a true 4. So that's the problem, right? And Zebo was
old school game.
Zebo also was a tough as nails defender, and like this kid does not have that type of reputation. So it'll be interesting to see how he pans out, man.
That's a tough shot, great shot. We get to see another great player, college basketball, great player.
And that's, listen,
in the Sweet 16.
That's now, if you're Florida, they really have had a tough go of it so far. Like, they're not going to have an easy road. They're one of the best teams in the country, but you have a scare today against, the back-to-back national champs, admittedly lower seed and not as good this year. Now you get a good Maryland team with a guy who's going to be a likely top 10 pick, at least a lottery pick. Like, that's play a lot of talent just to get to the Final Four, let alone win the title.
That is, man. That is. Great shot by the kid. We get to see him again for another weekend. He and Maryland advance. Sorry, Nova fans. Got to wait to find out about Kevin Willard and what happens. You might have to just pivot because the guy's going to the Sweet 16, so you might have to pivot on that one. Let's keep it going with the Prospect Watch because we talked about Jace Richardson. We just talked about Derik Queen. Yakachunas eliminated. Kentucky knocked off Illinois.
Unfortunate.
We had it on while we were watching the Sixers, keeping an eye on it, seeing what was going on. As best as we could see, he hit some big threes in the second half.
But tough game for him overall.
Yeah.
He was 2 for 9 from 3.
Yeah.
He had 6 turnovers and just 2 assists. And so I think what you saw in that game was when we've talked about Yakachunas on the show, the pushback or the criticism that we've offered is, hey, I'm a little skeptical about this kid against bigger, more athletic guys, right? Well, he's had trouble at times trying to get by guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he can't get by those guys, then a lot of the success that he has is predicated on, are you making jump shots, right? Because you can't have them sit back against you. They take away the drive and they take away your passing lanes. So you have to punish them when they go under screens, when you get the shot opportunities. So 2 for 9 and then the 2 to 6 assist to turnover. It all kind of feeds into each other. So he's still a guy that I like a good bit. Like, I think he's got good feel. He's a good passer, good playmaker, sees the floor well. But Kentucky played a really good game from what we saw. And that some of his flaws were on display today. I know there was there was somebody in the Discord today that said, I have watched one Illinois game, and their expert analysis was that Yakachonis was a jag. So there you go.
There you go.
And some people also want to take Proctor from Duke with a top 6 pick now. So
because he can shoot the lights out, making 7.
Listen, he's been cooking first 2 rounds. So shout out to him.
Yeah, he has. Igavini said just dropping in. Wanted to drop in, say hello. Have to rewatch the show. Make sure you hit the like button is what Igavini said. So yes, hit the like button, everybody. We appreciate it. And he appreciates the boys on another good tank performance here tonight. So that is a prospect watch for us tonight. We had our pregame prospect watch on the Duke Baylor game, and we also talked about a little bit earlier from yesterday with what's my man's name from BYU?
Agor
and his performance. So if you want to see us talk about them, we did that in the pregame. Go back, give it a watch for us. And that's our prospect watch for this Sunday. And no prospects tomorrow to watch.
Let me offer one more because you and I talked about him before the show, and I know he's someone that you liked.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Fears.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about him on pregame?
We didn't talk about him during the show. We talked about him off camera.
So I watched most of his game Friday night, most of Oklahoma's game. And I have not watched a ton of Oklahoma this year. Watched intermittently and saw some of his highlights and talked to people about him. And my big concern as it relates to the Sixers is that he's a big ball dominant guy, right? Like he's had, I think, close to a 32% usage this year. And that's just like, that style is not going to work here. It doesn't matter if you're talking about with Maxey, McCain, Embiid, George, whoever it is. Like a guard who's coming in is just not going to be able to come in and dominate time and possession. But what I came away thinking after that game was, actually, I kind of understand why he has such a high usage rate. And I don't think it's because he is particularly like, oh, I need to have the ball, or like I'm just dribbling the air out of the basketball. A lot of what happened was he would move around, they'd go through their offense. Nobody else could create anything on that team. And then the ball gets dumped to Fears, and it's like, go figure something out, buddy. Yeah. And honestly, he did figure stuff out quite a bit. Devon and I were talking before the show, and someone that he had spoken with said, oh man, he could have had 10 or 11 assists. And I did feel watching that game, there were a bunch of times when teams played up on him in the pick and roll, and he hit the big, like 6 feet from the basket for an open layup. And the guy hesitated before even taking the shot attempt. And that's where I'm like, man, if you had that guy pass into like NBA caliber bigs, he is having a double-digit assist game. So I came away impressed with his performance and maybe a little less skeptical of him as a, people are comparing him to Monte Ellis and like microwave scorer types and all that. And maybe that is who he is, but I don't know that the environment that he's been playing in is a good indicator of like who he's going to be as a guard.
Yeah. So by the way, he comes from a pretty big basketball family. Dad played college hoops. His brother actually started tonight for Michigan State.
Look at that.
Yeah. Jeremy Fears, Jr., started tonight for Michigan State. So far, he missed 2 free throws in this one. Jace Richardson 0 for 3. So, yes, we didn't get a chance to watch much of it because we were doing the post-game show. We saw some as it started, and then we missed the rest. Then Bree, Derek, and I, we watched the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And he scored a couple, but it was just too late for them to win that game. But yes, like Jeremiah Fears, he'll end up somewhere like Miami.
Jace Richardson just missed the open 3, man.
Did he? Okay.
Tough start for him.
Lobos might knock off the Spartans.
That would be a surprise one, man. I don't know anybody that was like New Mexico's in the the Sweet 16.
I know I didn't have them. I know I didn't have them. All right, that is, again, our Tank Watch, since we threw Fears in there. That's Tank Watch. Prospect Watch. Let's get the Tank Watch because the games tonight in the NBA, just 2, really. And it was the Pelicans a little bit earlier. They played against the Detroit Pistons. Kyle, you talked about it. They were leading for a good part of that game. They scored 130 points on that Pistons team.
Crazy.
But in the end, the Pistons, top 6 team in the East this year, hats off to 12 in his squad because they are going to the playoffs.
Still calling that man 12.
Yeah, but the Pelicans lose by 6, so they have to travel from Detroit back home while the Sixers have to travel from Atlanta to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. And in that game,
what blind person made that schedule?
I don't know. I don't know. The Knicks were complaining about a weird schedule that they had too. It was
Crazy.
ridiculous. CJ McCollum had 40. Jordan Hawkins had 25 off the bench. Zion did not play in this one. So 130 on the Pistons team. Good for them. I don't know you're going to get 40 from CJ tomorrow, but we'll see what that one looks like tomorrow.
We'll see if CJ plays on a back-to-back this deep in the year.
I'd imagine that they want to keep their pick. So, or give themselves the best odds to have a higher selection in this draft as well. And the other one that we had were the Toronto Raptors also playing.
Big Spurs win in that
Big
game.
Spurs win. Big Spurs win.
Big as in a big margin, not as in we were rooting for the Spurs over the Raptors.
Yeah, 123-89. Scotty Barnes did play in
30
this
minutes
one.
too.
Quickly played, didn't he, in this one? Or was it Barrett?
No, Quickly did not play.
So it was Barrett that played.
Quickly and Pirtle both out for rest. So presumably
another 25-year-old.
Presumably they'll both play tomorrow or wait, do they have a back-to-back? Maybe they don't. I don't know. The amount of rest that the Raptors are getting at the end of this season is honestly just comical. No, they do. They play against
game.
The Wizards tomorrow.
Big game.
They should have Quickly and Pirtle
but
available
are Barnes
for
and
this
Barrett
one.
going to play? It shouldn't matter, even though Washington is playing a little better and competitively, I'll say. Washington is. And then the Sixers have Washington on Wednesday in their first game back here in Philadelphia. So come on, Raptors. 24.
Washington has been more competitive. I will give them credit for, I think, Marcus Smart and Middleton adding like a level of professionalism there has really helped them.
Bub is
says a
playing
lot
better.
about Kyle Kuzma. I think that you swap him out and bring those two in, and it's like, hey, all of a sudden they look like an actual basketball team.
Yeah, they're trying with Jordan Poole. They're doing their best to try to get him to buy into what's going on also. I think he's going to get fined for a flop that he tried to get on Karl Anthony Towns.
I missed that one.
It was really stupid. it was really dumb. So, sometimes the stuff just doesn't go as according to plan when it comes to that professionalism overall. So Raptors, Wizards, the guys will be here for pre and post with Bree tomorrow. So they'll update you on all that. I'll be watching.
Yes, sir.
I'll be watching from home to see what's going on, rooting on the Raptors to win, to beat the Wizards and see how it all plays out overall. So we'll see how it goes with that one. We'll give you the Tankathon spin here in just a second so we can update you on where the Sixers are anyway in the standings currently because of the games played, and Brooklyn did not play tonight. But we do have to tell you, make sure you go read allphly.com to check out Kyle's recap because we have some overtime right here. We thank everybody for watching on Fast Channel. Continue to watch at allphly.com. You can also read the stories at allphly.com, like the recap from Kyle, getting ready for baseball season with Jim Salisbury, another tanking situation with the Flyers and Charlie's writing, and all the Eagles work from the guys getting ready for free agency and the draft. I mean, the draft in general and free agency already started. So that's allphly.com. Become a diehard member. Get a free T-shirt. Hang out with us. Be part of the community right here at PHLY our network overall. All right, let's get this in before we get to the world famous roll call. Right now, the Sixers are 23-48, tied with the Brooklyn Nets. And with that one, they're right in front of Brooklyn with the 5th spot in this particular one because of the head-to-head matchups with Brooklyn, where Brooklyn has defeated them in those games. So let's give it to Derek Bodner and Rich Hoffman.
The Tankathon spin.
The Tankathon spin. Let's see. We go with let's give it a spin. Number 1 overall pick for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Look at Devon just pulled the number 1 pick on Tankathon.
Number 1 pick on Tankathon. Do we have a guess of where you're going for that one?
Undisputed.
Easy call.
Cooper Flag, baby.
I've had the number 1 overall pick. Derek has had the number 1 overall pick. I think Rich has gotten as high as 2. Brian Knight calls it Tank Fargo Center. Yes, that's Tank Fargo Center for the Sixers, but they get the number 1 pick. They jump over everybody. Washington falls to number 2, and the Phoenix Suns jump up to number 3.
Oh!
But the pick goes to Houston for the 3rd overall pick.
Jeez, man.
In this one here. So, yeah, there you go. Sixers get the number 1 overall pick. So it could happen. Yes, Kyle, could happen. Jay says, let's go. With that number 1 overall pick.
Aaron with a head exploding emoji.
Hey, crazy, stranger things have happened. So we wouldn't have to worry about one starter because he's starting.
Yeah. Cooper Flag, lock him in.
Lock him in.
Day 1 starter.
Embiid, George, Flag, Maxey. Just got to figure out who the other guy is.
The rest of you need to figure out how to fit with him. Somebody asked a question pretty early on about best player available versus fit. And we have talked about this a little bit on the show where with Flag, it's both. So you don't really have to think about it.
Drop him in.
And I am generally in the school of thought or the train of thought that you take the best player available. Now, there are limitations to that. I think it's harder to do that with bigs specifically. It is why I have trouble with, like, if you're going to draft Malawak or Queen or one of these other guys that would be in the mix as true bigs. It's a little hard for me to get on board with that when you just have no idea what the Joel Embiid experience is. But most other positions, good basketball players figure things out. So take the best guy that you can. And if you need to trade somebody later, if you need to make some, roster altering moves to make it all work, you can do that. But don't pass on a guy you think is a future star for someone who you think is a future starter who just fits better with who you have available. That's what you can't do.
That guy, you just drop him right in. We've talked
Cooper
about
Flag's easy.
Every time I ask
put him
these
on
guys,
any team.
Any of the 29, you just drop them right in. And I've asked these guys, I always ask it the way I ask it of saying, how do they fit? Because it's a longer answer for both Derek and Kyle and Rich, all three of them, to lay out how certain players fit with the 76ers, because you already have one guard in particular. Then you have a wing and you have a center. How do these other guys fit? Well, Bailey fits because he's a scorer and he's 6'10". Mm-hmm. Harper fits because he's just a big guard who you can play next to Maxey, and he can play off ball and on ball. Some of the others, like Jace Richardson or Jeremiah Fears or Edgecombe, there are some questions. Edgecombe is different because
Edgecombe less, never mind. I thought you were going a different direction.
So I was just talking more of the other smaller guards.
Yeah.
You already have another one in McCain, and they're probably not even better than him. So you don't need to draft over him to try to fit him and squeeze him into certain spots. So the Edgecombe piece, though, he just fits because of the two. He can be a two guard. He can be a guy that's just a wing with some of the other guys that are there, Paul George and Kelly Oubre out there with Maxey on the floor. Same thing next to Quentin Grimes if you need him to be. He fits there as well. So we'll have a lot of these conversations as the tournament continues to roll along, and once the season finishes for the Sixers to know exactly where they fall in those lottery standings in general. So number one pick, folks, Cooper Flag. Get your jerseys ready.
Go.
You just can't wear number 2, I think he is, because that's retired. So you got to figure something else out. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. All right, let's get to it, folks. The world famous last one of the week as we start a new week tomorrow. Roll call.
Thank you to everybody for being here and hanging out with us. Thank you to my guy, Jay the Jungle.
What up, Jay?
Who I will not forget this time. Thank you to Joaquin.
He says no regrets at all.
From Cherry Hill. Thank you to Valhos.
What up, Val? Got to get you to wear the tank helmet when you come in, Val.
Thank you to my girl, Winona.
Hey, Nona.
Thank you to SB Cole. Thank you to DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman. Thank
Bring
you
me
to
a dream, the number
Jess
one
with the
overall
Purple
pick.
Heart.
Purple Heart.
Thank you to Remo K. Thank you to Neil Deaver. Thank you to Brian Knight.
What up, B-Knight?
Thank you to Kyle Wright. Thank you to A.A. Ron.
What up, Aaron?
Thank you to Bootzilla.
Boots.
To Mom's grandchildren. What up, Mom?
Talked to her earlier.
Good. That's a nice thing of you to do, Devon. You always got to do that. Is that Jean Dantica? Is that it?
Jean Dantica.
I'm going to just say Jean for now.
What up, Jean?
Thank you, Jean, for coming through. We also have a Jeannie, obviously.
Jeannie
was saying earlier, I think she must be a Duke fan. I did not know about that. She was very excited about many of the players on Duke today. And if you are a Duke fan, rightfully so, they look quite good. They look like the best two-way team in the country at the moment. Thank you to Attila for stopping through and saying hello. Thank you to... Oh, my God. There's a lot of scrolling. You guys love to talk, says the guy who hosts a podcast 5 days a week. Thank you to K Foxy Mama.
Foxy Mama, what up?
How about that for a name? Thank you to Music Lover 31.
Yes.
Thank you to Whale.
Whale?
W-A-I-L.
Oh.
Not Wale.
What up, Whale?
Remember when people...
Yeah.
And Wale actually refers to that, right? Like, my name's Wale, not Whale. That's I don't know, whatever. Thank you to Art for stopping through. Thank you to Hinky.
Always good to see Art.
Thank you to each and every one of you who was here tonight to hang out with Devon, Bree, and I as we march down the end of this terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Sixers season.
Yes.
And talk a little college hoops to have some fun along the way.
11 games left.
If you have not, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time you go live. And please hit the thumbs up to say thank you to super producer Bree for sticking it out and being here as we blab about basketball. She's pulling up clips in the middle of the dang show right as things are happening. She's the best.
Boots said beach whale.
Oh, boy.
Come on, Boots.
What is going on here? Anyway, have a good start to your week tomorrow, guys.
Thank you, Jess.
Derek and I will be here tomorrow, not Devon. Derek and I will be in here for Sixers Pelicans. I do not remember the start time for that game.
That is an 8 o'clock start time. Bree said it's the last 8 o'clock of the schedule.
Wow. Now there is some great breaking news. So we'll see you at 7:30 for pregame. We will see you guys then. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a happy Monday.
As always, presented by Bet365.
Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.